Welcome to Canic Conversation. We're continuing to talk about the end times prophecy for Israel. And I probably should have done this earlier, but I wanted to go over how it is all structured for the end times for that 7-year tribulation period. Daniel 9 and verse 27. Daniel 9 verse 27 says, the Antichrist will make a 7-year covenant with the nation of Israel. That ends up being the 70th week of Daniel. And he is halfway through. He follows the Jewish Mosaic law, Jewish customs, and halfway through that 7-year period, he forsakes that. And according to Daniel 11, he starts worshiping the God of forces. Well, he was worshiping the God of forces the whole time, but then now it shows he forsakes the God of his fathers and worships the God of forces. And so what happens is, from Revelation 17 and 18, mainly 17, we learn that there are, and you'll see the Great Whore, the Mystery Babylon, the Great Whore has 7 heads and 10 horns. The Antichrist does as well. It is, Revelation 13 tells you that. The reason for the 7 heads and 10 horns is Revelation 17 tells us that in the first half of the tribulation period, the first 7 years, the first half of the 7 years, you have there are 7 regional kings in the world, and the Antichrist rules his region, which is Israel, the Middle East there. And then you have 6 other kings that rule other parts of the world. And then apparently what Satan does is he makes the offer to these 7 kings like he made to Jesus. He told Jesus, all these things of this world here, all the kingdoms of this world, they belong to me, and I will give them to you if you will bow down and worship me. And I think that 2 of them recognize the power of Satan and take him up on that offer, and the other 5 do not. And so halfway through the tribulation period, the 5 that do not basically go away. And then you've got the 2 that remaining. They will continue as the world rulers for the last half of the tribulation period. The one is the false prophet, the other is the Antichrist. And so for the last half of the tribulation period, Revelation 17 says that the Antichrist rules the whole world, and then there are 10 kings under him, and they rule their different regions, I guess, but they give their power to the Antichrist. And that's why you have the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The 7 heads represent the 7 regions of the world in the first half of the tribulation period, and the 10 heads the 7 horns and 10 heads. 10 heads represent the 10 heads of state, the 10 kingdoms. They give their power to the beast in the last half of the tribulation period. But in Revelation 13, you see that apparently there were the 2 people who took up the offer from the devil. And Revelation 13 says that the dragon, which is the devil, gives his power and his authority, his seat, to the Antichrist, to the beast. And so what ends up happening is that Satan gives that power to the Antichrist, and he is in Revelation 13 described because he had been killed by the 2 witnesses, probably. And so then he resurrects from the sea, and the sea is a type of Satan's realm. So he is resurrected from the sea as a beast, and now he's had great power and authority because it comes from the devil, because the Antichrist has taken up the devil's offer to rule the world if he bowed down and worships the devil. And that's where the image of the beast comes in. It's devil worship. It's blatant devil worship, because now the devil is considered to be the God instead of the Lord Jesus Christ being God. And then the false prophet is the other one, and he's described not coming out of the sea, but as a beast that looks like a lamb. And so this would be the one from Revelation 13. We see he's the one who gets the world to worship the Antichrist by getting him to build an image to the beast. And then this false prophet then causes the image both to speak and can kill those who don't bow down. And he also institutes the mark of the beast. And those who don't take the mark cannot buy or sell. So we've talked before how that the image of the beast really controls the religious or the political realm, worshiping the devil through this image. And it would be AI technology that once it's created, this false prophet has the power to give it where it can speak, and it can cause people to worship it or be killed if it doesn't worship the image. And then you have the false prophet also controlling the economic power with this mark in the right hand or in the forehead, where if you don't take the mark, you can't participate in the economic system. And so that's why I say Elon Musk is a type of this false prophet. Revelation 17 says that of those 7 kings for the first half of the tribulation period, it says 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is yet to come. And the other that is yet to come is described as the beast. So the Antichrist or the beast is killed by the 2 witnesses, probably. And either way, he's killed. And then he rises up as this beast with all this power. And so he is and I said Trump is a type of this Antichrist right now. And then as he's trying to rule the world. And then the false prophet, it seems like he's never killed, but he does get he becomes a beast. He gets the power too, to be able to do things in the spiritual realm. And so now he can cause the image to speak and to kill people who don't bow down and implement the mark of the beast. And Elon Musk being a type of that. And so we covered that Trump being a type of the Antichrist, Musk being a type of the false prophet. But there you see the specific roles is that the false prophet leads the world into worshiping the Antichrist, and the Antichrist worships Satan and worshiping that god of forces, because Satan is the prince of the power of the air, and so it'd be the forces that are in the air, and so he worships Satan as the god of forces. Now, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the false prophet, because I've mentioned that Elon Musk is a type of him, and what you see going on with him, Trump made a special appointment of him as the leader of a new agency called Doge, D-O-G-E. Not coincidentally, I don't think there's also a Doge crypto coin, D-O-G-E. And that was, Musk had a heavy investment in that, and it really did well at one period of time. I don't know what it's doing now, but as a result of that, Musk being involved in everything behind that. And it's called Dogecoin. Well, now he is in charge of the Doge Department, D-O-G-E, which stands for Department of Governmental Efficiency. And the idea is he's going to come in and look at all of these different agencies of the government and see where the fat can be trimmed, where we're wasting money. But I want you to notice that when you have the 2 things that the false prophet does to get the people to follow the Antichrist is, 1, it's creating the image of the beast and giving it the power to kill people who do not bow down to it. And so that's the artificial intelligence that's involved in the image of the beast. And then number 2, you've got the mark of the beast, where you've got the digital currency, where you've got a chip implanted in the right hand or in the forehead, and then you can use that to buy or sell. If you don't have that, you can't participate in the economic system. So you see that there's technology involved, AI for the image of the beast, and then chip implantation to where you become the computer with this chip implanted into you, and that's how you buy or sell. And so you see that Musk is involved, and Trump is promoting or trying to get money behind a digital currency. He's also putting more government funds into AI and creating that. He's saying we don't want the Chinese to do the AI stuff. We want to be the leaders in that. So he's Trump is pushing and leading the AI revolution and also the cryptocurrency, the digital currency. And those two go right in line with the image of the beast and the mark of the beast. Again, Trump and Musk are not the Antichrist and false prophet, but they are a type of them. And they're preparing the way for that. Satan is using them as Satan's minions to eventually bring about Satan's plan. And so it's interesting when you look at Musk. So far, Trump has been president for, 2 weeks? Is that right? The 20th is when he came in, the 27th. So then, about 2.5 weeks at this point. I'm filming this on Thursday, February the 6th. So it's been 2.5 weeks that he's been in office. And what came out in the news last Friday, the 31st, two major things that Musk has done is, one, he took over a government agency called USAID. And I think it's not, as far as government agencies are concerned, it's not huge, I think. But what it does is USAID gives humanitarian aid to other countries. And so Musk has come up with stuff like, there was a transgender opera in Colombia, and so we're stopping that, and finding things that were just like, it's ridiculous that we're spending money on stuff in these other countries for things that are just culturally related, that doesn't actually help them out in their living situation. And so he's getting rid of that stuff. So people are like, yeah, that's good, get rid of the waste. And certainly that is good, but you think that Musk is really, that's the reason he's in there, to stop funding the transgender opera? I mean, he's got bigger plans involved here. So if you can control the U.S., my understanding is he fired the head of the USAID program, or they resigned under pressure, whatever it was. And so now Musk is in charge of this, and his people, all the main people that are part of Doge are these young college kids or college graduates, young people. And so that he's hired, so he's getting these technologically savvy people. It's not about going through and simply finding waste, because that waste thing is just a front. It's really about taking control of the government. He is considered to be has more power, because another thing is, it was a special appointment of Musk by Trump and to create this, and the president is allowed to do that. But it's usually just for a specific task or a specific project. I don't think the law allows him to be more than a year. And that's how Musk can be in there with some old law that's on the books, and he can use that law to then change things, because normally you got to have changes, comes very slow in federal government. You got to have Congress involved to pass legislation and all this stuff, and all that stuff takes time. So he's trying to bypass all of that by putting Musk as a special appointee. And that appointee, I don't think, can last more than a year, but who's to say that Trump won't be able to extend it for his entire presidency. And so you've got Musk, though, because it's supposedly temporary, and federal judges are already starting to block executive orders that Trump has put out. So he's trying to get as much done as quick as he can. So they shut down the USAID, and Musk takes that over, and so that's where you give out the foreign aid, and that would be part of that, the economic part. And then the second thing he's done last Friday, January 31st, is now Musk has access to the payment system of the federal government, which is the Office of Fiscal Aid, I believe it's called, or Fiscal Services, but I think it's Fiscal Aid, Office of Fiscal Aid. And that controls, basically the Office of Fiscal Aid doesn't have the ability to make decisions. It just implements the decisions already made. So like Social Security is a big thing that it has. So now Musk has read-only access, is what I'm told, of this Fiscal Aid office. And their job is to give out Social Security payments, paying interest on Treasury bills, principal payments on that. Basically, the payments that are already authorized by the federal government, the Department of Fiscal Aid is in charge of making those payments. And Musk has read-only access to that database. So what that means then is everybody in the U.S. who has a Social Security payment, he can look at that information. And supposedly, again, it's to cut down, to make the government more efficient, to find out inefficiencies. And he says anything that he has to recommend has to be approved by Trump. But really what I think is going on is that Trump and Musk are Satan's right-hand men to implement the two things, the cryptocurrency to bring in eventually the mark of the beast, and artificial intelligence to eventually bring in the image of the beast. And I think that taking over the U.S. aid and then having read-only access to the payments made by the Office of Fiscal Services, or Fiscal Aid, whatever it's called, the idea is that he can now, because if you're thinking about, if you got all these young guys who graduate college and they're technologically savvy, and if he is trying to come up with a cryptocurrency, then the first way to implement it, if the U.S. federal government implements digital currency payments, the first thing they'll do is they can't do it with the private, because that's, they don't have the control over that. They first do it at the federal level. And the biggest thing they have control over is the Social Security payments. So what they could do then is change the Social Security payments to where they're paid out through digital currency. I think of large companies, and I've heard of like Cracker Barrel, their waitresses, and this was 10 years ago probably they started doing this, is they don't get much of the waitresses don't get much of a hourly wage because they mostly get paid in tips. But my understanding is that hourly wage that they get from Cracker Barrel is they stopped cutting checks. Or first they'd give checks, and then they went to direct deposit, was mandated, and now they went over to a gift card. It's my understanding. And so then you got to jump through these hoops to go get your Visa gift card or whatever it is in order to get your money, and you might have to pay some fees to get access to it. That's what's done in the corporate level, is eliminating really money payments, but it's now a gift card. And that you could say is a form of digital currency, if you will, to create this Visa gift card and give it to you that way. That's what the corporations have done, and that was like 10 years ago, and I don't know what they're doing today. But you could see that you could do similar things with the federal government, as before they used to mail Social Security checks. And then they went over, because of safety, can't have these mail carriers being killed over these checks. So now we go over to direct deposit, and that's what's being done now. But, it wouldn't be hard. And I think that's why, why would Musk need read-only access to the Office of Fiscal Aid's data? Well, because he's trying to make sure, create a program or have the ability to make these Social Security payments now through a digital currency. And that's a way to implement the digital currency, which is a step closer to the mark of the beast. And so now all the people that have Social Security, the last people who will change over, you have a new technology, you have Bitcoin, let's say, it's all young people that do that. They get involved in that new technology. Social Security people in their 70s and 80s getting Social Security payments, they don't care a thing about Bitcoin. They don't know what it is. They don't understand it. But if you force them to take a digital currency payment for their Social Security, well, now they got to learn at least something about it, and they got to start using it. So the ones that are hardest to get over to a change is going to be the seniors. And if all the seniors then are forced to change because Musk has created a digital currency by which now all the Social Security payments are going to be made, and there'll be something that Trump says that we're saving billions of dollars in doing this, and that will be justification for the government efficiency department for doing that. But that's why I think he has read-only access. I mean, I could be wrong, but if you want to make a program and figure out how feasible it is to pay things with blockchain technology, with Bitcoin or digital currency, whatever the U.S. creates. I mean, Trump already created his own meme coin, and so did Melania Trump, Donald and Melania Trump have different meme coins, and they did that, I think, 3 days before he took office on January 17th. It's sort of setting all this up. So now if Musk has read-only access, people are worried about him. They're saying, oh no, he can get in there, so now he might stop Social Security payments, or he may stop the payment of interest on Treasury bills, and people get all nervous about that. They're looking at the wrong thing. Musk isn't interested in that. He's interested in creating a digital currency. And so now he's got all this data that he can look at, and he can use that data to implement a program, to create a program to where he can pay out Social Security in digital currency, in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And so that's what I think he's doing. Because if he converts all the seniors over to having digital currency, well, it's real easy then. If you do that step, it's real easy then to get the whole economy over to getting rid of money and actually having digital currency. And that's where the Great Reset comes in, and the $36 trillion that the U.S. government owes in debt goes away when the money goes away, because it's a reset, and it's a new form of money. It's the digital currency. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to put a chip in your hand or in your forehead to access it. You probably have to use a smartphone. I don't know what they're going to do. And even if they did put a chip in your hand or your forehead, it still wouldn't be the mark of the beast, because the mark of the beast is going to be then implemented by the Antichrist, and that's after he's already made a 7-year covenant with Israel, and then halfway through the tribulation period, halfway through that 7 years, is when he implements the mark of the beast. But if there has already been a digital currency in the U.S. and people already have it in their right hand or in their forehead, then it wouldn't be that big of a jump then later on for the Antichrist to do it, and no one would think it's the mark of the beast, because they're looking at the technology. And all these prophecy nuts out here say the mark of the beast is a 666, which it is not. That is the number of the name of the beast. It is not the actual mark. The mark is probably more like a leopard spot, or something that looks like the Ash Wednesday thing, the prayer bumps of the Islam, the red Hindu dot. All these religions have a similar thing in their religion. And so, but what I think is going on is Musk is preparing the world for that. And I think the reason he's getting access to the Office of Fiscal Aid and all that data is so he can create a digital currency and then make those payments by digital currency. If that'll actually happen in Trump's presidency, I don't know, but at least it's getting the world prepared for it. So then when the mark of the beast comes along with the Antichrist, people readily accept it, because they won't think it's the mark, because it doesn't say 666 like they're expecting. And it's something that's already been done before in the U.S., and now it's just being done in Israel. So I think that's what's going on. Then you have Trump's trying to kick out the Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. Again, that's the connection there, bringing in the Antichrist. So all these events that are going on now is just basically the prophetic timeline, although we're not in Israel's program, hasn't resumed yet. It's just getting the stage set for this all to happen very quickly, because the Lord will make a short work of Israel, Romans 9, when he does start the prophecy program back up. All right, that's today's message. Thanks for watching.